Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Red Reaction from the LFC Daytrippers. I'm your host, Keith, and tonight I'm joined by Grizz and Gar to discuss the FA Cup third round match between Aston Villa's under 13s and Liverpool's first team. It was a match of many talking points, I won't say many highs, but highs, lows, and plenty in between. Grizz, I'll start with you. How are you, my friend, and how did you find that game?
I'm good. Normally we refrain from doing instant match reactions because the passions are still running high. The emotions are still running high. And I was just telling you guys off air that, you know, it's amazing what this football team does to us. You know, people that I've been chatting to years on Twitter losing their shit either way, you know, either saying that it's the worst team they've ever seen and what's going on with this team and we're not going to finish top four, or the absolute, you know, the ones that are sitting in King Kenny's clouds that are saying there's nothing wrong, we're absolutely fine, you know, keep talking about the past, look what we've achieved. And I think there's a, you know, you try to...
titles, please. 19 league titles.
You try to find a balance. You try to find a balance as much as you can, but this game's so emotional, isn't it? The sport of football is so emotional. You very rarely be able to sort of find a middle ground somewhere. But yeah, I suppose we can start talking about, or we will get into sort of the highs and lows of the games. But yeah, apart from that, it's great to talk to you.
And shoot shit after a match, yeah,
the best people, the two most loveliest people to talk to after a game, so it should be
football
fine.
Men.
Safe
to say it's a football men show.
Me and Gab would have fallen out today, so you know, me and
Gab, nice and rational here today.
Yeah, exactly. So we can keep it basic.
And Gar, how about yourself? How are you feeling after that? Nervy? How did you find it? How's the heart?
It was nervy. I'm not gonna lie. When I went to one, well, now we're gonna go into the X's and O's of the game. But listen, I was nervy. I'm not gonna lie. We've come through a shitty patch of form. Still going through it, until we play another. It was hard to watch at times. As I said, I know we're gonna get into it. And we'll talk more about the way we played in that first half, etc. But as I said to you at the start, a huge credit to them kids in that first half. Their shape was impeccable. Obviously, I mean, you walk in that area, their shape is impeccable. Yeah. Their energy was impeccable at times. Listen, they were going to run out of steam because no bunch of 18-year-olds or 13-year-olds are going to keep that up. Yeah. But now I have to say, real credit to them kids. I tweeted already, huge effort from them. First half, and they did tire out, and you know, we'll go into the crux of air changes, I suppose, in a few minutes. But now, listen, it's a good result in the end, but it was nervy, I have to say, the first half.
Yeah, I think Jurgen Klopp touched on it, didn't he, at the start when he said we were in a sort of a no-win situation because, you know, what could we do? We had to prepare for that game like as if we were playing Aston Villa's first team. We needed our players to get match fitness, to get cobwebs, and if that had been the Villa first team, that probably would have been the team that played in anyway. But to motivate themselves when they got out there, it's been an issue all season, hasn't it? Getting out to a fast start and not capitalising. Grizz, I'll come to you on this. Like, how do you think, you know, with the start, the way the game went, did you think we started brightly? Did you think we obviously started brightly, but
yeah,
you know, we scored an early goal, but we don't really punish them afterwards? How did you think the team looked from the off?
So look, the team was strong. Let's not make any bones about it. And we understand that Klopp had already picked the team, thinking that it's going to be Villa's stronger team. He didn't know until hours before that it's going to be a bunch of kids. And he obviously says that the tactics and everything were in place and we couldn't have changed it. So that's absolutely fair enough. Me personally, I had the issue with Fabinho. I didn't have no issue with Hendo playing or Mane and Salah and everyone else. And the reason why I had an issue with Fabinho is pretty straightforward. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to work out that he's our only centre back. He's our only first team centre back, and he's not even a centre back, if you know what I mean. Fit and available. And I just thought he shouldn't have been played in this game because you try to minimize the chance of injury or the risk of injury as much as you can. And I know you can pick up an injury in training. I know you can pick up an injury running for a bus at the same time. Yeah. So, but what you do, there's levels of risk that you take. And playing him against eager 18, 20-year-olds, that want to maybe sort of leave a mark and going to be rushing into tackles. I just think from a personal point of view, that's the only issue I had with the selection. Apart from that, it was a strong team. Jones needed to play in this game, and he's been playing like he's God's gift last few games, and I thought he carried on. I thought he was shambles. I thought he was shambolic, embarrassing. I thought Curtis Jones was in that half. I thought he proper just smelled himself there and thought, yeah, I'm the I'll teach these kids, but you got to put the hard graft in. You got to be efficient with your passes, the pace, the tempo of the game. He had a point to prove. A lot of players had not points to prove before everyone jumps in, but sort of they had to improve on their own levels. Each individual had to improve on their own levels, and if they improved on their own levels, then usually the team does well. We know Salah's levels are below what he would expect. Mane's, Henderson's, even Gini's dropped off. But Gini, you can make a slight excuse for Gini that he's run like 15 marathons already. Yeah. But I just thought we got the goal, lovely goal, brilliant header from Sadio. We know he's brilliant in the air, but I thought we were far too casual. I don't think it was the right attitude in that first half. I thought we treated it like a training session when we shouldn't have. And I get what you're saying about it's very difficult to raise yourself. I don't think it should have been because of the previous 3 games that we've had. In a normal situation, I totally accept that sometimes it can get difficult to raise yourself when you're playing against kids. I get that. But for the team in the position that they've been in, on the back of the results, I thought they should have gone guns blazing like they kind of did at the start of the second half. So, to me, that first half was abysmal.
Yeah, Ramez Khalil throws in a super chat. Thanks very much, Ramez. What do you think we should do with Hendo for Man U? Play him in midfield or centre back? Also, where are we so impotent attacking wise? Just cross and inshallah. Gar, what would you do? What do you think?
I know Gav has made the point to where he goes to the right hand side. I suppose against United, they will have a bit of pace coming down that side. If Trent starts, his form has been a bit worrying at the moment, I suppose, hasn't it? So, you're going to need Henderson to possibly cover that side. I think that midfield possibly names itself, lads. Gini, Thiago, and Henderson. I thought Thiago, when he come on last night, just strolled around the park. I thought he was absolutely an absolute joy to watch as a midfielder. Done all the things right he needed to. I'm going back to Grizz's points there. There's a lot of balance and there's a fine line with confidence and the way we're going into this and a possible joint killing, which has happened many times over the years with big teams and not smaller sides, but I suppose sides like that tonight. It could have happened. Like let's be honest, the way that first half has gone, but they were going to tour. If that was a lower league side, maybe they've got a bit more intensity about their energy levels, etc. But they were bound to tour. The one thing I will say in that first half is Villa's shape was impeccable at times. And we really struggled. Going back to Grizz's point, we went back to that side-to-side stuff. This lumping balls from the wing into the box when they had numerous. These little floaties, and they lads jumping out like fish, just dying to hit it. It is ridiculous, and we reverted to that type a few times in previous games as well, and it's awful to look at because we haven't got anyone in there. I know obviously Sadio gets that header as Grizz says, but we've no one in there that's gonna feed off them all day long.
You don't have Andy Carroll up there, you know what I mean? That's a point where in the air he wants it. There's not. I'm not that.
Your pure chance in your arm if you're lumping balls into the box like that all the time. And I know we're trying to break down that shape of theirs, right? But we did it in the second half. We got the ball down. We played little intricate passes around their centre halves, around their deep line midfielder, and we just didn't do that in the first half. And with that midfield we had,
it was the tempo, Gar. It was the tempo of the pass. It was way too slow, and it was driving. Yeah, but it's been the same. It's been the same for the last few games. And you'd expect...
We are taking far too many touches around the box. You take extra touches around the box, the first thing that happens is you allow someone a chance to nick a ball off you. And they did it time after time in that first half tonight. And it's happened time in the last few games. Salah is beginning to really, really annoy me in that position. Your man Rowe had him in his pocket for the first half.
Yeah.
Because he knew how to play him on the outside all the time.
Yeah. Really was frustrating. Jimmy Nizzle throws in a super chat. Thanks very much, Jimmy. Klopp and Liverpool played a game of football. Liverpool fans have done nothing but praise the Villa lads. Yeah, all rival fans are having a meltdown. Haha. And look, Grizz Gar has touched on it there. Villa played very well. They held a good shape. They scored a deserved goal for, Absolutely. Not for their play. Let's say not for their step to play. Not like they had us under pressure. Right? Not saying that. But they got a nice goal, a deserved goal. 18, 19-year-olds, all joking aside, very inexperienced team. The game sort of went, Grizz, nearly like our game with them last year when we had to send our kids in. The young lads done well, and then as the game went on, the Villa senior lads, now I know it was a changed Villa team last year, but they just put us to the sword and our boys ran out of steam, and it was a similar sort of thing today.
No, absolutely.
They got a goal and fair play to them.
From a Villa point of view, they should be proud of themselves as a club for making sure the game went ahead. They didn't moan about it or try to get it postponed or cancelled or whatever. They put out a set of lads that absolutely done the club proud. You could see the attitude of the kids was amazing. They're up against some of the best players in their position in the world, in Salah and Mane. Do you know what I mean? They're up against one of the, most coveted midfields, like sort of in terms of, a captain of a Champions winning team, a Premier League team in Jordan Henderson, Gini Wijnaldum, the machine, So they done themselves proud. Absolutely. They done what they had to do. There's absolutely no doubt about that. My criticism lies with we didn't do what we had to do, what we should have done. There's no way. And I'm still fuming from that first half. Not the fact that I ever had any doubts that we're going to win the game. You guys touched upon something that you were nervous. I wasn't nervous at all. It didn't get nervy for me at all. It was pure frustration that led to anger. I knew we were going to win, in the end, 3-1, 4-1, but it was the attitude and the tempo of our play in that first half that you was thinking, my God, imagine this against Man United. And, let's be real. We're gearing up for that game. That is the game of our season. It's gearing up to be one of the most, I was going to say one of the most important in Klopp's Liverpool career. No, I won't overreact. But it's gearing up to be a massive, huge game against an informed Man United, who will be, absolutely geared up for it as well. It's going to be, two teams going for each other. And, the way that Aston Villa defended is nothing new to us. It shouldn't be nothing new to us. We're saying like, oh, we done the side. We do the side to side. We do the possession. We shift teams from side to side, and we know they're going to tire in the second half, and that's where we capitalize. That's been our game plan for 2-3 years now. We tire teams out, hence how we score so many late goals, etc. Because teams are knackered when they're chasing leather for that amount of time. But it shouldn't be the tactic to employ against 18, 19-year-olds. You should have far more variety than in your game than to use those same tactics that you're using against some Premiership teams. That was my...
Yeah, and a good point there, Grizz, as well, because it's all well and good, as Gar said, going from side to side. When you have Trent or you have Robbo that have the absolute pinpoint delivery that they switch, the whole point of that tactic is you do it quick and you have to shift across and you have to shift and you shift and you shift. And every time you shift, you get tired and you lose your shape. Nico Williams has no ability to do that. It's not a dig at Nico Williams. He's a fullback who likes to attack. He's not able to hit 40-yard rakers across the field, 50-yarders into the run of the opposite winger. He's not able to do that. James Milner, playing on his weaker side, isn't able to do that. Do you know what I mean? Like, so we didn't have the players to do it. So I don't know why we were even contemplating that today. But it was one of them, as we said, it was a hard one. If you're Sadio Mane and you're Gini Wijnaldum, Fabinho, you're going into that game and we can't go hell for leather. We can't. I know it sounds stupid, but we're playing a load of bleak kids here. We could they have been more clinical? We should have been, but I can sort of not understand, but I can sort of get it into my head why we were a bit off the pace, that we weren't going full pelt. It was elite footballers against a youth team. It was a very hard one to really get the head around, and I can't even put it into words now. I just thought it was a very sloppy performance, but we got off to a good start. Gar the goal. It's a good header from Sadio, isn't it? It's a nice goal. Gets a whack in the ribs on the blade.
Really good header. I think the cross was out of this world. But as Grizz touched on, after he does that cross, I think he's gone off and he's thinking, I've made it here. To use Grizz's words, he's smelling himself after it, because he knows he's whipped in a perfect cross. It's on a plate, in fairness. It's a beautiful cross. I actually thought it was Williams that whipped it in at first, but it was,
I thought that at the time, but it was
it was a really good cross. But the header is excellent. Sadio has that in his artillery, doesn't he? Really, he loves that sort of blind run in between two players, and they couldn't pick it up. In fairness, they're only kids. Let's be honest here. But I thought he was the only bright one out of the three. In that first half, and he was the only one trying. I know Minamino was picking up little pockets around the area at times, but there was nothing coming out of him at times. It wasn't until the second half when we got, obviously, the ball players came on, that you saw him sort of picking up different pockets of space and being more intricate. As I touched on Salah earlier, lads, I thought he was an absolute disgrace to me.
Well, you see, that's something that I was going to come on to. The first half goes on, right, Grizz, and Minamino, Gar just mentioned there, he was struggling to get into it, and a lot of people were very critical of him. Look, I'm a fan of Minamino. I don't want any player to not make it at Liverpool, whether that's Minamino, whether it's Nico Williams, whether it's Naby Keita, I want them, when they're playing for Liverpool, I want them to do well. Minamino is unlucky because, and I don't know what it is, if the players don't trust him, or if it's just the natural grade of the other two forwards. Salah wasn't really using him when he was shown into positions, trying to show in positions to get passes, and Salah was just sort of ignoring them. And I think Minamino's suffering. People are, it's too easy to jump on the Minamino bandwagon. I'm not trying to excuse him. I thought he grew into the game. I think he's a tidy little player. He just needs to maybe build up his confidence. But Salah wasn't really on it tonight. What did you make of his first half performance? Or, do you know what? Let's not single out Salah. The right-hand side, so we mentioned Curtis Jones done a lot of the work over there, and Nico Williams and Salah. How do you think that side of the pitch fared, Grizz, in the first half?
Like it's been for the last few games. Obviously, Trent's been there for the last few games, and it hasn't been our area of strength, even though we tried to make it more. Nico played more the Robbo role this time, because the more rampaging, the trying to get on the overlap, trying to get behind, whereas Milner was more withdrawn and tried to play the football from the back. First of all, because Milner's not got the legs to do what Robbo does, so he tried to change, have a different game plan from the right. I just thought Curtis Jones, he's young. So I'll calm down. By tomorrow, I'll have calmed down about Curtis Jones, and I'll have forgotten about it, and I'll remember that he's got the whole career ahead of him, and he's going to become a fantastic player. But there's no harm in bollocking a player when he's had a shit one, and it's not because of ability. Because as Gar talked about, he oozes that ball shows what he's capable of. Yeah. He's an absolute sublime player. He's got the tools to be a sublime player. But I just thought he was casual. I thought it's easy to blame Salah and Minamino and Mane. And you should blame them. They weren't brilliant, but I thought the supply from Henderson, Gini, and Jones was atrocious to them in that first half. And that little the fella that came on at halftime showed how it should be done.
Yeah.
Maybe it's confidence of just playing balls into these players instead of going the safe option always. And I think Jones was selected, or usually is selected, to be the brave one out there. Even though he's the youngest, he's usually the bravest on the ball. But I thought Gini and Hendo kind of dragged him down, and that's a slight on, you know, and I'm having a go at Gini and Hendo, and I think sometimes, you know, you should call out the senior players. They were the ones that should have been setting the tempo. And, you know, the more times you're going to get the ball to your danger men, the more chances there is of them creating a chance. And I thought Salah and Mane and Minamino just weren't getting the balls in positions of danger, and you have to blame the midfield for that, not the fullbacks. The fullbacks are to find one of the forward players from the fullback area is far harder than finding it from a central midfield area, in my opinion, especially the likes of Minamino, who was offering himself plenty of times. So I think it's more Gini and Hendo having really poor first halves than as opposed to sort of Nico, who I thought Nico tried well and he'd done well. I thought Nico was, you know, fine. I thought Nico showed plenty of energy. I thought he was, you know, ambitious. He kept going. So I don't think I would really blame Nico for too much.
I will say though, Grizz, in that first half, you've got the 4 and the 5 bank right straight away, so it's going to be really congested in there, right? So in order for us to, you know, to get Jones on the ball a bit more, and I do agree with you, you know, it's up to Gini. Gini misses 2 sitters in the first half.
Yeah.
It's really congested in there, so we're looking for Jones to obviously do his tricks and, you know, to open up things. It is, and I'm not defending him, right, because we're going through a purple patch and he's going through his purple patch whilst the team is as well, right? And you know I love him, but I'm not defending the team as a whole in the first half tonight. But if you look at that first half, you've got a 4 and a 5 just completely banked out at times in that first half.
Yeah,
it's so congested. But you've also got the problem is Milner's automatically going to be inverted, right? Because he's right-footed, so he's automatically going to drift in, right? And as you see, Nico is trying to be that, you know, that out ball for us to bring us a bit wider and to upset their shape a bit. But the issue I had with that was Salah was also popping up right beside him too often. So you'd see Salah laying the ball back to him, and the automatic thing that was going on there was we're going to lump the ball in. So it was really, really congested for the likes of Jones to do something in there for what you want them to do. But then couldn't really go through the middle a lot. If you get me.
I agree with you. But then the conversation drifts towards Klopp. Then why didn't he select Shaq to be the difference maker? He's a total different player to Jones.
Yeah, but Chris, do you not think Jones needed to get that game? You know, Jones needed not to get Jones has been here and Jones has got us to now. Shaq hasn't been available. I know he needs runs, but I can sort of understand why Jones got the nod. Now maybe
I'm happy with
he could have gone. Yeah, maybe he could have gone something different, and he could have maybe left Coutinho Hendo. Yeah, and I think that might be the shout there.
Let's not. Sometimes you have to be cold-blooded and not arrogant, but confident. Like we're playing a bunch of 17-year-olds. We're fucking Liverpool Football Club. We've got Sadio. We've got Mo playing. We've got Henderson. We've got Fabinho, Milner. We've got enough to control the game. We've got enough to control the midfield for us not to be conservative and play 3 central midfielders. I thought Jones wasn't the most advanced. I thought they were playing in a 3 with Jones and Gini making runs when they wanted to, when they can. But there was no runs to be made because we were playing in their half with 5 across the middle. So there's only so much space you can run into. Gini and Henderson, sorry, not Jones. Gini and Henderson are the type of midfielders that won't pick a pass out or go past a player. They're efficient runners with the ball. Will play the possession game. I thought then Klopp should have been far braver and putting a Shaqiri in there to create and to be the difference maker. You know, we've discussed the tactics. Yeah, you're right. But they're so used to playing in that way, Keith. Gini and Hendo know how to play that like the back of their heads because they've played it all their careers for Liverpool. It's easy. It's the best system in the world. It's got us to how we are, where we are. But when the front players are not in the form that they have been in the past, you need something different. And Shaqiri proved that when he came off the bench.
Yeah, a lot of people are asking about Shaqiri in the chat.
Well, it's true. There's no point having him in the squad when he's fit. Fucking use him. He's never fucking fit. The little turbo. Do you know what I mean? Well, when he is fit, use him
as well. He's something different that we don't have, and I agree with you, Grizz. I think we should be using him a bit more. And as I said, loads in the chat are saying Shaq. I'm gonna come on to Shaq in a few minutes, but the game goes on as Gar touched on there. Genie's getting into the box. He's had 2 chances that he should really do better on. You know, we see their keeper makes a save from Fabinho, touches it on. Is it onto the post? Does he hit onto the post or he turns it around? And then Mane has a shot and the keeper gets. He makes a couple of good saves, the keeper, in the first half, to be fair to him. He was stinking on the Mane header. It's like he dived after it went by him. But then he grows into the game.
He tried to cut across you. You know, he had a trial at Liverpool. He got injured on the second trial.
Does he? Well, I'm not surprised because I see he's a Hungarian, and I know he had a good link up with a lot of the young Hungarian players. So yeah, he's he was a decent keeper, but he's allergic to Sadio Mane headers because he wasn't great on the second one either, wasn't he? Not, but apart from
10 minutes later,
yeah, apart from that, he did quite well. But the game goes on. We're getting chances, but we're not exerting ourselves on the game. We're not we're not putting our stamp on it. We're getting chances. If we'd have gone in 2 or 3-0 up, you would have just said, right, minimum expectation. But we don't go in 2 or 3-0 up because on 40 minutes or 41 minutes, Aston Villa got a goal. Now, Gar, I'll come to you on this one. You, in chats beforehand, you are highlighting Louis Barry as a threat. It's a nice goal.
It's a lovely goal.
It's a lovely goal. A couple of issues on it. Reece Williams, not great. And I think, I'm not going to dig out Queven Kelleher on this, but when you see the behind, from Barry's head on, you see Queven comes out and makes himself small, and the ball goes by him. Alisson had come out and he'd be a big monster there. And it's just, I suppose, a little bit of
he could at times go further up, Alisson, and take him.
Yeah. It's not a criticism of Kelleher because he done nothing wrong, but it was just something that I noticed. I thought, the difference with Alisson, who's you can argue was the best keeper in the world, and a young guy that's only making his way. But it's a nice goal. Do you want to talk us through how you felt it?
I think the goal, the ball to play up to Barry is absolutely sublime. He sees it, he picks it out straight away. If it was, I know Henderson did it at the start of the season for us, and we all raved about it. Yeah. It's straight away. You can also have a bit of an argument that there's no defensive midfielder there because the 2 boys are split straight away. And there's no one sitting in front because obviously we've barricaded forward to try and get a goal. The ball, it's a great ball, I have to say. I've been very, very, very critical of Williams' pace, lads, and it really, really showed there. It was tortuous. I know he cuts across him and doesn't want to foul him or whatever, but it was shocking. And it really highlights the need for either another centre half or something to happen in that position, or Matip to stay fit. But it was awful defending from Williams. I know we can dig out the keeper a bit. I did think I thought he was quite small in the position, or he doesn't come out aggressive enough. I think he sort of stutters when he comes off as well when he comes to his box. Yeah, you see him stopping, and you're going, just go, put him off,
make yourself bigger. But you're right. He stops, and then he sort of, I don't know, he just gives him the target and makes up his mind.
Had little Jordan Pickford arms for a minute.
Yeah, it's true.
Look big, go at him. But listen, it is what it is. I have to say, I look a good pass, and I thought the pass for Barry was absolutely sublime. It was on a play from him.
Yeah, it was excellent. And Grizz, it's great for. Look, I know we're Liverpool fans. Everybody's heart was in their mouth. I know when we can see it and go 1-1. But it's great for that young lad to get that goal. It's great for them young lads, the whole team. It's great for the manager to go in at half-time 1-1, and not on the back of a scuttery goal that went in off his arse. To go in on the back of a well-worked goal and a well-taken goal. It was nice for him, wasn't it, Grizz?
Yeah, and look, and his reaction again was pure natural and amazing. It was lovely to see. And, we talk about the romance of the FA Cup. Well, that was it right there, a young kid, apparently born like 5-6 miles away from the ground, and come true, he's playing the best team in the world, against some of his, possibly some, I wouldn't think Liverpool, he's got many heroes in Liverpool, but, some great players that he thought of, and, and it was a tidy finish. I mean, I know Kelleher, but Kelleher is, again, a kid who's learning the trade.
Yeah.
He's not as physically intimidating. He hasn't got that aura. He hasn't got that coverage of Alisson. But he'll get that. I think he was more worried about getting nutmegged. Did you just notice how his legs were together?
That's what I mean. He sort of, he made himself small because he was weary of the nutmeg.
And the best keepers don't worry about that. See, the best keepers, because
that's going to dig him out, isn't it? No, it's just highlighting something.
No, it's just, it's something to work on. It's something to work on. And, he... some would say he made it easy for him, but it was a tidy finish still, and and that kid loved it, and he will never forget that day. So that's his romance of the FA Cup for him.
That's it. And the reaction of the whole team to the goal, like, take our Liverpool hat off for a minute. It was nice to see. Now, it was the magic of the cup. Has there been any mention of Aston Villa disrespecting the cup by putting out a weekend team? No one has mentioned that. I haven't seen that on that, because that must be on your reserve for us then, is it, when we do it? But exactly. All joking aside, they go in at 1-1, everybody's losing their shit. WhatsApps are hopping everywhere. I'm getting messages left, right, and centre. It wasn't an ideal way to finish the half, but we didn't really deserve. We didn't put our foot on the throat of these young lads. We got what we deserved out of the game, and there's a change at half time. And look, we all know who comes on, and we all know he's the player that, let's be honest, we all want to see now. We all want to see him playing in every possible chance we can get to see him. But Henderson is the one who makes way. What did you make of that? Because there was a super chat up there earlier about him. Grizz, are you worried about Henderson's form?
I'm worried about the amount of games him and Ginny having to play in the amount of minutes due to the lack of other options like Keita and Ox and Thiago. They've just not been around. We assembled this squad so that we can sort of have quality every time we rest Henderson or rotate Henderson. We're not able to do that. He has to play again and again and again. I think it's a fatigue issue. He just doesn't have to have the same drive and energy at the moment. And when you're slightly fatigued and the energy isn't there, then your brain doesn't work as fast as all naturally. And, I've always said Henderson's passing, I've always said it, even when people were going mad at him, a couple of years ago, I've always said Henderson's passing is always relative to his confidence and his fitness levels. Always. When Hendo's fit and confident, he pulls out passes and you think, fuck, do that all the time, you can. Do you know what I mean? But when he's not, he looks an absolute clogger out there. And it was one of those games, he absolute was stinking the gaff out in that first or 45 minutes. Just, and it's a sign of the whole team. It's not just Henderson. Everyone is playing it safe. Only Sadio is trying to do things in that whole team. Sadio's trying, and he's failing, but at least he's trying.
It's not working for him, but I agree with you 100%. He's trying to make things happen.
He's trying to make things happen. He's the only one who's doing something different.
Yeah.
Gini and Henderson won't do that. And until they're at the most confident and they are most fittest, I certainly don't think either of them are at their most confident or fittest. And then it's showing in their play. I mean, the Gini chances he missed, I know he scores a nice goal in the end, but, Gini scores that for Holland. Gini's vibrant for Holland. Gini's confident in that Holland team. Gini knows, what he's going to do, with Liverpool. When he gets in that penalty area, he seems to just lose his cool, and it's not like him. But I know you asked about Henderson, but I just drifted. I just think the package, Keith, it's just they come as a package, in my opinion. In this team, they're the fulcrum, they're the engine of this team, and they help each other to help us. And I thought both of them were really poor.
Yeah, indeed. Dinesh Karai puts in a super chat. Thanks very much, Dinesh. Evening, gentlemen. The Mo Salah and Sadio Mane body language is not good. There is a problem within both of them. Klopp needs to sort out the problem. Gar, do you think there's a problem with them? Do you think there's an issue there between the two lads, or are we reading too much into it? Because Dinesh makes a good point, and
listen, it's a good point, but I did say, in fairness, Mane hits a chance, and I think it's deflection that goes over a corner, and he bypasses Salah, and he actually says sorry to him because I think he has a chance to lay it off to him. So no, I don't think the issue. I think it's something that probably gets hyped up a bit too much. I don't think the issue is there. Is major. Listen, lads, they're both centre forwards. Dinesh. They're both centre forwards. They're both greedy. They both want to score a lot of goals, and I'm sure there's that bit of competition between them as well, which should be between every top striker or every world class centre forward. To beat each other goals was, that's part and parcel of being a world class player. In my opinion, 100%. Yeah, there you go, and that just adds to it. But no, I don't think I did spot a couple of times there was a bit of interaction between them. So, listen, I know we've spoken about the Salah thing the last couple of games and the snippets coming out in the press and the little leaks that from the Real side of things as well. So, listen, that's probably going to take a bit of momentum in the summer, we'd imagine. Operation Mbappe begins then. Grizz can tell us more closer to the time, I'm sure. But now, listen, I think we all know where this is going, lads. Let's be 100% honest here. If we don't end the season well, I think it goes. But it's all beginning too early. The captaincy thing as well. So there's obviously a problem with him in his own head and his agent as well as Rami, I think his name is. I think he's known for stoking up a few things here and there. We've seen what he's done with the Egyptian FA in the past over the sponsorship thing and all before. So listen, just leave him to it. We need to worry about ourselves as a side at the moment, and Salah, I suppose, needs to worry about himself at the moment, and I suppose his status amongst the world's best at the moment. And if he wants to continue on that vein and get his move, potentially he want to just cop onto himself and start being the Salah that he has been the last while.
Friend of the show, Stefan, thinks and he's doing it in caps, so he must be angry. I feel this game has been way too over critiqued, lads. Cop on for it's the bleeding reaction show,
yeah,
Stefan.
Exactly. We've only reached the first 45 minutes. We're about to sort of utilize over the second half, and one man in particular. So sometimes you've got to call a spade a spade. Sometimes you've got to be real about Liverpool. I know we've been on this crest of a wave, and the last 2-3 years, and the trajectory of this club is something to behold, and it'll probably never happen again, in our lifetimes, the season we had last season. But there's nothing wrong in sometimes sort of looking beyond that and calling it for what it is. You can excuse off days in the Premiership. It's the Premier League. It's the hardest league in the world. But for me, I will not accept, and I'm saying it like fucking anyone gives a shit what I think, but I'm just giving my opinion. Like, I couldn't enjoy that first 45 because not because of what the situation of the game was, but I thought, going into that game on the back of the criticism we've already received, the attitude, I don't give a shit if we're playing 15-year-olds.
Where's the home?
Bang 3-4 goals, and then we discuss, they were sweet, they were cool, we couldn't motivate them, they were lovely. Fucking hell, some of them were kids out there, Keith, and we got grown up. Some of our players are some of the strongest.
You say it there, Peter Middleton is throwing a comment in. Villa fan here. Welcome, Peter. Well done, you lot. Job done. But we are very proud of our youngsters. Average age of 17, a youth team. Really give them credit. Well, Peter, we've been giving them credit, and I think a lot of Liverpool fans have been giving you credit. I think they done you proud. It was an excellent performance. And look, he's got beaten 4-1. You've some talented young players in that team. Talented young players, and the future looks bright for Aston Villa is what I would say, judging on that tonight. There's some really, really talented players in that youth setup, and fair play to them. They really done well. And Peter, you're welcome in here. Any fans are welcome in here. I want to be respectful. We welcome everyone in. That's not.
See, I'm gonna call out this fella who's I've noticed, because I'm very sharp like this, Dan J. Where's this comment again? He's always having a go at me, this fella, for some reason. But he's probably my neighbour. you know, and I'll probably keep him up all night. But I haven't once said, and I'll never, you'll never hear me screaming out Klopp out. And I'm not auditioning for AFTV. You know,
they want to be auditioning for us.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? I fucking barely can audition for the Daytrippers. But all of them are fit enough to wear the shirt. I've never once ever doubted that. But if you really enjoyed that first 45 minutes and you really think there was nothing wrong in that first 45 minutes, mate, you're the most deluded person in this chat right now. If you think that there was nothing wrong with that 45 minutes, everything was fine, the teamwork was there, the team spirit, the team attitude, the pace of our game was fine, then my friend, you was watching a total different game to me. But anyway, I'll chat to you after, probably in the garden. I know you're my neighbour.
Before we move on to the second half, we've 410 roughly people watching us. We have 125 likes. We hate asking for likes, but it does help the show grow. It helps put us out into other people's feeds and stratospheres and all that stuff. If you're watching and you like what we do, just hit the thumbs up button, and it does help our show. It does help us grow. But we'll move on. Second half starts. Grizz, come back to you. Second half kicks off. Thiago is in. We're all happy to see that. How do you think the second half starts off?
More like it, wasn't it? You know, it showed that it wasn't only pissed off with that first half. Klopp was fucking pissed off, and you could see, you know, he's had a right go at them. And the tempo, it's all about the tempo, playing inferior opposition. Your speed of pass, your touch, your control has to be better than theirs. That's why you're playing for Liverpool Football Club. Yeah, so you have to trust your speed of pass into your fellow player. He's got to trust his control and touch, and then everything comes to plan. And it helps when you've got the most creative central midfield player in world football coming on. There were some rumours of him starting. Either way, you know, it was always going to get 45 minutes or so, trying to get him back into sort of the speed of things. And I thought he just majestic, absolute majestic, an absolute maestro. I mean, to be honest with you, I can't really remember a lot of the goals because I was just totally concentrating on him for the rest of the 45 minutes. It was just Thiago watch for me, and fantastic. Just I wish he was. Hope he stays fit for the rest of the season. We could be for a brilliant second half.
Yeah, he does make the difference. It starts off, Gar. The tempo is lifted. It's a much better tempo that we're going at in the second half. And Thiago does change things, doesn't he? Like, as a player, his style of play is something. We brought him in the summer. We made our transfers, I thought, very shrewdly in the summer, and none of them have worked out yet for one reason or another. Well,
yeah.
one injury.
One reason, yeah.
One reason, injury to all of them. But what he's shown, when we start motoring and he's pouring in that midfield, it's going to be a new dynamic because it's punchy little balls at pace into the front that we weren't getting from our other midfielders. Jordan Henderson, I'm not going to slag Jordan Henderson, I'm a huge Hendo fan, but he's the worst culprit recently for these little shitty floaty balls into the back that we're not. It's Hendo that's doing 90% of them. And you saw the difference in the distribution when Thiago came in. You know, he's an exceptional player guard, isn't he? And
the difference, though, and we see it. Me and you are lucky. Grizz, I'm sure he saw it when he was coaching El Nino FC. Me and you are lucky to watch a couple of kids in that position. You know, we haven't got to play over here, but when they can do it, they make space. They always make that extra 5 yards himself. And we have a young guy, Grizz, that seems to has this down to a T, right? Make that foot. He doesn't go far out right like Henderson does, obviously, for the floaties. He's generally in between the lines of the box, but he's always making 5 yards. But the thing about it is, he knows where the ball's going before it's coming. So he's scanned. The ball comes into him, it's gone right. The ball comes in, it's gone left. The ball comes into him, it's a 20-yard ball over to a fullback who's going to try and take them out that way. He's doing everything with the ball to orchestrate them, pulling them out of positions. Whereas the first half, it's slow. It's take an extra touch. The Villa lad gets back into position. It's that extra, so we spoke about it, that extra touch. But just with him, the ball comes in and it's gone.
It's about having that picture, isn't it?
100%. These kids having to think, shit, where's this ball going? Whereas the first bit, and I think Gav said it in the group, it becomes predictable, and the first half was so predictable in that passing, and you bring this guy on, and Jesus Christ, lads, you know, if I'm sure Curtis Jones, I would hope he just stood in that pitch for a few minutes and goes, Jesus Christ, I know what I need to do in that position now, because
it's not even Curtis Jones. I wish Genie and Hendo watched that.
Oh yeah, no, we know, but Curtis is sort of that player, Grizz, who you would imagine sort of be, you know, more like for him in the future, you know, who can sort of pull strings like that in the future. And it was just an absolute pleasure to watch. Listen, I know it's against kids, right? I know it's against kids, right? But just watching the player himself, we're all football fans at the end of the day. You know, as you say, take your Liverpool hat off. Watching a guy like that and just come and pull the strings. We saw it when he was with Bayern, lads. It's unbelievable to watch. It's a joy to watch. We've seen Xavi and Iniesta do it for years. Yeah. It's an absolute pleasure to watch, and we don't get to see this. We always praise, you know, the Zidans of this world and the forward players who bang in all the goals. But these boys who can just control the tempo, pull the strings, the football men understand. These boys, you know, it's ridiculous to watch. It's a joy to watch.
You know, football men will understand, but football players will also understand that for him to shine, he's not the type of player anymore because he's getting into his 30s now, and he's not the type of player that will often. He will still do it. He's still got the capabilities of taking 2-3 players on and putting into the top corner. He can still do it, but he's not going to do that as often as he used to in his younger days when he was very capable of doing that. What he needs and will need is the rest of his teammates to be on his wavelength. Now that sounds disrespectful to the other players and say, like, well, they've got us to this level. How dare I say they've got to be on his wavelength? Well, that's how fucking good and important he is to this team right now. And you could see it wasn't much, and it was absolutely against kids before people start saying, calm down, guys. You know, now you're going overboard with your praise after the first half of, you know, I was going mad criticism the first half, and now I'm going overboard. But you saw glimpses of his interplay with Bobby. And Bobby's the one player who probably as quick as him in the brain, in the head. Yeah. You know, and this is where the likes of Mane and Salah will have to come to life. Shaqiri, you saw it as well. A couple of bits of play with Bobby, Shaq, and Thiago, where you know that they're on the same wavelength. And if you've and the way you've described Thiago, where the opposition doesn't know where the ball's going next. Imagine if you got 2 or 3 of them on the same wavelength, and that's where you get through these fucking, you know, buses that have been parked up against us.
You know what? Before we move on, Dinesh is at the throne in a super chat there. Again, thanks very much, Dinesh. We appreciate all the support. We need a player like Coutinho playing with Thiago. Would you take Coutinho back? I would take him back. He will add more power to our team. I'll start off here. I wouldn't take him back unless he was free. Okay. I get what you're saying, and it's something that, you know, as Grizz has touched on there, the more quality you have in around them on that wavelength, the better. You know, I don't know if Coutinho is the answer, but I do understand that sort of creative player. Grizz, would you agree with that we need someone of that ilk? Or do you think when Shaq came on, we saw that type of, you know, little bit of cleverness, a little bit of guile that we didn't see?
We've got our version, or not version, but we've got his replacement in Shaq, in terms of it wasn't meant to be his replacement, but Shaq can do that role if Klopp wanted a player like that to fulfill that role, if you know what I mean. So when people say, why isn't Shaq playing and whatever, you know, Klopp has got a certain way of playing for this Liverpool team, and Shaq is on the periphery of it. I think Phil Coutinho would be the same. Yeah. So yes, Coutinho is a wonderful technician, and you know, I'm not going to say no, I wouldn't have Coutinho back, but I think we've got players in our squad like that. If Klopp was to sort of feel that that's needed for his team and for his philosophy, that's what I'll say. You know, Shaq's there, Thiago's there, Keita's there, and Curtis Jones even to an extent. You know, all very similar to Phil Coutinho. Now I know we saw the glory. At the moment, we're reminiscing about the glory in Phil Coutinho in his last season.
It's a long time since it's been.
Exactly. This team has evolved, and B, Coutinho wasn't as consistent as we're probably remembering now. It's possibly we're remembering his last season, but there was a lot of iffy games with Phil as well. And I think that's how Klopp feels with Shaq. He hasn't got the confidence, maybe, or confidence in him to start every game and play that role that we think Phil Coutinho would play for us.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good point, Gar, isn't it? Like, where does Coutinho, not Coutinho, let's not Coutinho, but where does a Coutinho player fit into this team? It's a hard one to get in, isn't it? Because midfield players have to walk their bollocks off, and the forwards have to be lightning quick.
Yeah, and Chris just touched on something there. He did have a lot of inconsistent games, and I always point back to it that Coutinho always drifted out left.
Yeah.
And in the way, in the involvement, as Grizz has said, proper football man, you Grizz, you know that. In that involvement, if he keeps drifting out left, you're having to play two holding midfielders basically all the time because you've got someone completely gone missing from the centre mid, and that's why we've had that player who can obviously dip around the centre and go left and right when need be. Not someone who drifts out left, cuts in off his right, and he was predictable. He did it very well. But he always just cut in from that side and it always pinged into the top corner. In fairness, him hasn't done it in a few years because things haven't worked out very, very well for him.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't evolved with maybe the managers of systems that have happened at Bayern and Barca at the time as well. He wanted to go and beat this Iniesta at Barcelona. He's not that player.
No. Klopp has said that. He's not that type of player.
He's not at all.
He heard that they want him to replace.
But lads, I've brought this comment up, and it's totally slipped my mind as well, and we've possibly started off negatively, but we're coming to near the end of the show, and we want to end up on positives. And and Jono makes an amazing point. He says the one player who will be a monster with Thiago is Jota. He makes the best intelligent runs on this team, and he's also our best finisher. Doesn't need 6 chances to score a goal. Maybe there's a dig in there at Mane and Mo, but Mane and Mo are fucking amazing off the ball runners. So I'm not gonna, put them down because they're fucking sensational off the ball. But this fella, he's right, Jota, to come back into this team, to give them that sort of levels of competition to keep them on their toes, and a fully fit Thiago is something every Liverpool fan should be fucking looking forward to this last second sector of the season. And it will come good. I'm not sitting here having a go at sort of our manager and our team and we're doomed and we're fucked and all that. No, we're not. We're having a bad patch, but we saw glimpses, and these players coming back will absolutely help in getting back on track.
Players being injured and out of form is not helping us. When you make a great point there, when Jota comes back, him and Thiago will link up, and we've said about Bobby Firmino and Thiago will link up. Well, when Trent is back in his normal state of play, and Robbo, you have threat from the left, threat from the right, you've threat from the centre, you have forwards running. It'll all come back, it'll all click. It's just a matter of when. Before we'll rattle through these goals right before we finish up. So on the hour mark, Genie scores, puts us 2-1 up. I think a lot of people were relieved. Minamino gets a nice little assist on it, a little touchback, a little set, and they're the little things you have to take for him. People were critical. Jonathan in the chat earlier was like, he's been here the year, he's a flop, he's this, he's that. Give him time. It's a big cultural change for him. He needs time. He's not going to set the world alight at the moment, but he will. I think he will come good. He goes straight off after that, right? So Genie gets a nice goal, right? It was a nice goal. He goes straight off after that, and Bobby comes on for Curtis, and Shaq comes on for Taki. We get a couple more goals then to kill the game, 63-65. So within the space of 5 minutes, the game is gone. But I want to talk about Shaqiri. He was excellent when he came on. And it frustrates the bollocks out of me because you see these cameos and you just want them to do it more often. Gar, what do you think? Like, he's a player that he has what we're crying out for. He's the best, in my opinion, he's the best free kick taker at the club, right? Trent's too inconsistent with his free kicks. An absolute brilliant set piece taker. Yeah. He's got that bit of guile and craft, and there was games earlier on in the season he came in and he a couple of through balls to Jota when Jota was scoring as well. He does have that bit of guile, doesn't he? That we probably crying out for at the moment.
And he's always had it, lads. Always that thing of it seems to when he goes away internationally, I've read that it's you know, there's a thing regards planes and his calves not reacting to flights and stuff like that. And listen, it could be true because, you know, we've all been on planes and your legs have been in bits after a long flight. You know, and I'm sure the size of his, you know, the size of his legs are probably the size of 3 of our heads put together at times. So, you know, there could be. There could be a link there, to be fair, but Jesus, Keith, so intricate, so quick. Again, he's that Thiago type player, but he's 2 minutes ahead of people in regards of ball. It's intricate, it's little passes here and there. You're taking people out of shape, and they hated that. And we don't have that out of Genie and Hendo, and that's not slagging them because they are totally different players. So I'm not having a pop by any means. But he's got that intricacy. He's got that level of eliteness. It's only a pity that the guy can't stay fit, because Jesus Christ, what a talent he could have been.
Yeah,
and it'll be a pity if we look back when he does live and go, you know, and consistently, you know. He had the chance at Munich. He's had the chance elsewhere. He's gone to Stoke. He's played as a right winger at Stoke. In fairness to him, in a 4-4-2, and done very well. But I don't want to look back at him and go, what could have been, because he's certainly got potential. But we've heard, lads, he's nearly gone 2 or 3 times. So and Klopp, he's still there, and you know, he doesn't seem to be the type. You don't hear about news interviews all the time about him pissing and moaning, I'm not on the side, or I'm not here. Listen, he does pick up injuries, and there's been quotes before from Klopp in regards of his injuries. But I don't want to look back at him and go, what could have been with him. I think there's a role there from as Grizz touched on a minute ago. There's definitely a role within that squad from.
Grizz, do you think Shaqiri needs to be the big fish in the small pond to thrive? Do you think the bit part role doesn't suit him to get the best out of him, or do you just think we're not using him enough?
Yeah, as you was talking, and you know, this is what happens when 2 football men start thinking. I was thinking exactly what I knew you were going to ask me that question, and I was thinking that at the same time. And I was thinking that about, you know, the big fish in the small pond. Did you say that's the right way around? Yeah. Okay. I don't want to end up saying something else, but look, it possibly is. I mean, if you look throughout his career, one thing that stands out is at none of his careers did he have one set position.
Yeah,
and that stands out.
Yeah.
The top elite managers always have a way of playing, a system, a one set of way of playing, and they need personnel to fit that system. So he's had to choose which clubs he goes to, that, and he should have had to look at their systems and how he fits in. It seems like he hasn't had enough conversations with top elite coaches to say, look, I'm coming to you, but where will I play? Apart from Stoke. Yeah. You know, apart from Stoke, where I can't remember. Can you know who the manager was at Stoke when he had his, I can't remember.
Pulis, was it?
Wasn't it?
Was it Pulis?
Pulis or Hughes?
I'm not sure.
I thought it was
they brought in a stack of
Hughes, was it?
Winners, didn't they? Bojan and
it could be.
Could have been Hughes.
I don't know if anyone knows in the chat who was the Stoke manager that sort of found a position for.
You'd be shocked if Shaq enjoyed being the big fish at Stoke. Well, maybe not at Stoke, Jono, but I'm sure there's a club for him, you know, that he could be maybe Billy Big Balls at. But
yeah, you know, I think the consensus of the chat says it was Mark Hughes.
Hughes. Yeah.
So look, it's so frustrating because the talent's there and he can be the difference maker. And from a Liverpool fan point of view, I want the best players, the most technically gifted players to be around Liverpool still. I want them to stay at Liverpool because the more options you've got, the more quality and variety of attackers that you've got, the better for the manager. It's just he needs to be an option for Klopp. And then it's down to Klopp utilizes him. Now, I've got absolute faith in Klopp knowing where and when to use Shaqiri. You know, in the season where he scored the winner against Man United and he came off the bench and played quite a vital role in a lot of the games. In fact, he was in the magical Barcelona comeback. He was pivotal. Do you know what I mean? So there is 100% a place for Shaqiri in this squad, but it's all about sort of keeping fit and being an option. And that's the frustrating part. And finding a position on the pitch. Look, good players can find positions on the pitch. Good players can know where to create space, where to create chances, and he's got the vision and intricate passing to be, a very good option for Liverpool.
Yeah. Gar, what is his position? What's his best position?
I think it's the one he came on tonight, Keith. That one in front of in a tray in a midfield where he has a bit of license to roam. Yeah, I don't think it's in a front. I don't think it's in a front three because in the way our front three plays, it wouldn't suit him. I think the way he plays at the top, at the focal point of a midfield three is perfect. He can pop up around different positions. He can bring forwards into play that bit easier. One thing there is though is internet gone, is it? No, but you've also that thing that, and listen, we know, and I'm going a bit off track here, but Pep has done something with De Bruyne at the moment that I think would be perfect for Shaq. In that, he's given that free role as a number 9, sort of in a roundabout way, like Bobby plays, but Bobby has to do a lot defensively as well, in fairness to him, and he does it hugely. If you are giving him that freedom, and we know Shaq's not going to defend for you, right? We know, but he is a difference, mate. He could do that role without us, having to rely on him to do a lot of defensive work. To be fair, but listen, you haven't the coach, you have.
The only thing I would go against that guy is I would want Shaqiri facing the goal as opposed to facing his back towards the goal, because he's got that shot in him where he doesn't need that backlift, and that's absolutely crucial. When you're facing a packed defense, he can pop off a shot with that much backlift.
Grizz. De Bruyne is not playing much with his back to goal at the moment.
Yeah. And that's, I suppose, the point, isn't it? It's creating that little. It's not giving the traditional. You're not saying to him, you're going as a 9 there. It's
lads. Pep's created that role for Kevin De Bruyne, because he hasn't got no fit strikers at the moment, right? And B, Kevin De Bruyne is levels, right? In my opinion, he's not good. He's big and powerful, and he's a powerful runner. Yeah, Shaqiri is a powerful runner in sort of 10-meter sprints. I'll give him 10. Right, but you know what I mean? So it's a different role he would be asked to play. I think he's perfect in that any of those 3 behind the one. If we played that 4-2-3-1, but we're not playing that enough, in my opinion.
That's what I'm trying to get to. Is the game passing by the likes of Shaqiri and let's say Mesut Ozil as well, who, they're a number 10. In my opinion, he's a number 10. He's a player that can do a job out wide, but you get him into them central areas and he has the intricacy. And the game is going, to the 4-2-3 or the 4-2-3-1 even is sort of becoming now the 4-3-3 or the formations are changing and everyone's sort of moving away from that. Nobody wants the passenger in there as a number 10 anymore, and it maybe that's what Shaq is suffering from. Dinesh is after throwing in another super chat. Thanks very much, Dinesh. Before we finish up, when we get our centre-backs, or Boy1 and Fabinho back in midfield, when all fit, we have different options to throw out teams further. The future is looking good. And look, it's an excellent point, but when will that happen? When will we get the bodies in? Grizz, do you think we'll be doing business, or what do you think is going to be happening? I'm not trying to put you under pressure, put you on the spot.
No, you can do that. I don't fall under pressure. You know me, I don't buckle under pressure. We'll leave the transfer chat for Tuesday's show, I think. But generally, look, he's got a point. Dinesh has got a point that we are missing Fabinho in that central midfield. It's just unfortunate, lads. It's just mad, isn't it? How the fuck have we got 3 centre backs out? And 2 of them out for the season. Well, sorry, Gomez out for the season. Virgil van Dijk. We're going to have some good news on Virgil van Dijk, in my opinion. But it's mad. It's how unlucky can you get? He's an absolute enforcer in midfield. Excuse me. He's an absolute enforcer in midfield. And surely, of course, we're going to miss someone like that. But it's just unfortunate.
Yeah. Grizz is struggling there.
Sorry. This must be that. Must be the chips at half time.
That could be it. That could well be it.
The more angry I I get, the more chips I eat. So, it's natural.
Yeah, indeed. But lads, we'll finish up, right? So the game ends 4-1. How do you feel at the end, Gar? Do you think it's a fair result? What's your overall riding opinion on that game at the end?
Yeah, listen, I think at the end of that game, you just write off the first half. You don't want to become angry. And I know, Grizz, we did touch on nerves earlier, but you're angry because you should be putting them to the sword and you should be putting them chances away. But listen, the changes, we get that excitement of seeing Thiago get another 45 minutes under his belt, get back to fitness as well. And he's shown, he's given us all a taste again of what he's going to do in coming games. Please God, there's no breakdowns, something like that. Shaq, I thought, was outstanding when he came on. So there was a lot of positives to take away from the second half. To be fair, Bobby came on and he just did things that Bobby does naturally. Move centre halves around. I know there's one person in particular that's not a big fan of him, but listen, he shows what he does tonight. And listen, I know they tired, etc. And listen, we can go back the age thing again, but we've brought on some guys and they've shown why we need to bring them on in fairness, and they've done the job. So listen, I'm happy enough about it, to be honest with you. Yeah,
and Grizz, what about yourself? You happy with the outcome at the end of it? All things considered.
I think Klopp's cleverer than we give him credit for. I think that he done that second half just to bring on Shaq and the main man Thiago, just to give us a glimpse of what's to come for the rest of the season, and sort of end in a good mood as opposed to vile mood after that first 45 minutes that I was certainly in, and the majority of the people that I speak to were in. So yeah, loads of things to look forward to. And listen, we know we beat that scum next weekend, and everything's rosy in the Garden again. We beat Man United, and everything's looking very, very, very good again. We're getting our players back. We'll have hopefully more players coming back in the next few weeks. Matip and Jota a couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks away, and I think we could have a tremendous end to this season, and starting from next week.
Yeah, I mean, something I've said, and I could end up with bleeding absolute egg on my face. If you're gonna have a blip and you're gonna have a shitty period, do it now. When you're on top of the league, I suppose, and you have that bit of leeway. Don't start the season slowly, because then you're playing catch up, and don't end the season badly and get bleeding skint. Do it now. Get the players back. Maybe I'm being too optimistic. I don't know. Maybe I am. I'm an optimist like that. But let's try and kick on. We're not playing well. Let's not make any bones about it. We played Aston Villa's under 18s tonight. We got the win. Great for Aston Villa. We've said that. Great for them to get the goal. You saw it. It was actually lovely to see their reaction to getting that goal. But at the end, we upped the game, and we looked good in the second half, in fairness, without really punishing a team of youths. But we have to kick on against United next week. We really do. Yeah. We have to put a marker down, and we've done it in the past. Spurs came to us as the pretenders, and we put them to bed. Let's do it to United. United are playing very well, but they're not they're not a super team. They're not a great team. I don't care what anyone says. They're playing okay. I'm not overly worried about them. I think they're getting good results, but they're getting results. They're getting the look that we're not getting. They're having 0-alls, and then they're getting a dodgy penalty to get them a 1-0. Whereas we're the opposite. We're not getting the bleeding decisions. Yeah. And we're the ones then dropping points. So look, there's not much between the two teams, in all fairness. A bit of luck maybe. But we start from next week, and we get a good win against them. It'll be nice. So look, we'll wrap it up there. Before I finish, you see the ticker going across the bottom of the screen. #KeenStrong, the GoFundMe. The details are in the show description. If you can go on. Look, we're not asking people to donate. We know times are tough out there. If you can, excellent. But even if you can't, if you can share the message, share the tweet, just to get that young lad out there. He's only a year old. Brain cancer at 6 months, so it's an awful thing. Anyone that has kids, I'm sure, can sympathize with that. But we're not looking for people to put their hands in their pockets. If they want, brilliant, that's great. But we're going to be doing stuff in the coming weeks to help out as well. So look, if you can share the message, that'd be even brilliant. So look, before I finished up, I just wanted to say that. So look, lads, we're into the half for the next round. Happy days. You know, Klopp's probably fuming about it, but what can you do? Grizz, thanks very much for joining me tonight.
No problem, mate. I love joining you.
I know. Well, we don't really join. You know, we're all one big happy family here. It's just when I do the talking, I thank you for coming. You're always here.
No doubt.
And Gar as well. Thank you very much for coming on tonight, pal.
Thanks, lads. Great. I have to say the beard work tonight is absolutely fantastic, lads. I have to say, really looking.
When it's compared to leading the Sultan over there with his little number that's on.
Yeah. Really agrees. I really like the Sultan stuff. It's a sexy look, bro. And the hat goes well. The night gear, the night gear jumper.
Keep it coming.
A pair of my tricolour Air Max now on you go. Absolutely fantastic, bro.
Nice one, pal.
But look, as we said, we've got the win. This has been the Red Reaction. It's not been the best performance in the world, but it's a win at the end of the day. Fair play to everyone involved. We'll be back on Sunday with the Fatback 4, and we'll see us all again soon.